Thank you for joining us for What's New in 16.0 and Virtual Classroom in ProgressBook. Today we're going to cover the new features and the new look that teachers are going to see as they navigate through Virtual Classroom for the 16-17 school year. Some new features you're going to see is that new look, new icons, as you are seeing throughout our entire suite, but you're really going to notice the difference in Virtual Classroom. We're also going to look at the gradebook dashboard, so we're going to look at before and after with the gradebook dashboard so you're aware of the changes and what changes you're going to see. The new Virtual Classroom dashboard that's available, we're going to definitely cover that. You'll see improved creating of content, improved question features. When you're asked what is new in Virtual Classroom for the 16-17 school year, you say everything is new, so it's just wonderful. Previously, when a teacher was in their class dashboard, you saw the book logo up here on the top left, as well as to navigate for your Virtual Classroom features, you have this curriculum section with My Library, View Active Discussions, and Activities to Grade. Then the icons over here on the right that indicated that that assignment is tied to an online activity or online discussion. So when we come into 16.0, we have the new section, or the section's been relabeled to online learning. Now you're just going to have a dashboard. So it's your online learning dashboard, Virtual Classroom dashboard, as well as the new icons that indicate that that assignment is tied to that online activity or discussion. And they moved over next to the assignment type. So it's really a lot easier to read and see, and just for the eye movement. So to that connection. So it's very easy, very clear. In those ones also, you're able to click on them just as you could before to take you to those activity details. So when you were in 15.3, what we saw before was your e-courses that you created under the e-course. And please take note of your folders that you had under your e-courses, the student resources, your resources and modules, and My Workspace that may have had content in it as well. So teacher coming in, just to show some different screens. For a teacher that has never used Virtual Classroom before, if they click on on the dashboard, they'll get that message, let's get started for your ProgressBook online course. This is your starting point for creating exciting online activities for your students. So then it just goes on to tell you that you can start by adding a course. So you add your course for so I'm just showing you what it looks like for a new teacher. Existing teachers, all the content that you had in the 15-16 school year is going to be moved over and be here and available. All you're seeing is a new look. So everything is still there. You didn't lose anything. And those e-courses, why note of those e-courses, your courses are already brought over and they are already labeled for you as you call those courses. So it's all there for you. If we want just some of the navigation for your existing teachers, if you just are aware as we're moving through, once we create a course with other teachers, we work on a course with other teachers, we'll see this icon. So if you ever see that icon up on the top on your course, you're going to know that that's a collaborated course. E-courses have their own navigation. We're going to review all of this. Of course, I can always add a course at any point in time. We're on a teaching board, and then we can also go over to hidden. And then we also have a navigation over here. So I can click on that plus sign to expand that navigational panel. We have the ability to go to our gradebook homepage, going directly to the gradebook homepage where your courses are listed. Dashboard indicates that I'm here on my online learning, my Virtual Classroom dashboard. Library is not available yet. That's going to be coming soon. That's for our private library and district public library. Just heading. So that's different than the heading up here. This is just heading. So the applications, that's your applications to be able to move over to data map or to student information. Exactly the same as with this icon up here, it does. If I click on that, that gives me the ability to go over to student information also, or data map. That's exactly what it says. It's going to log out, which is, again, exactly the same as if I click on this icon up here to log out. So just to show you some of the different navigation features that are available in Virtual Classroom. Don't you just love the new look in Virtual Classroom? So a new course. So we're going to start off, we're adding a new course. It's the same whether I'm a teacher that has existing courses or a brand new teacher creating a starting fresh without a course in here yet. I'm going to course, and with that, I have a choice of a new course or to import a course. Import a course is importing from a library, so that's not available yet. So we're going to click New Course. When I click New Course, it comes up with my box to allow me to put in a title for my course. Simply my title, then click Create. When I click Create, it brings me to a Settings tab. This is available on all your courses, and we will cover that as well. But we have our name that we already put in there. I still have the option to modify that name if I wish. I can enter a description. That's optional. It will not appear anywhere else. That's just for my informational purposes only. If I want to get fancy with my description, if I click on the text mode, it will allow me to toggle between plain text, which is just simply typing in plain black text, or if I click on again, it's going to move over to RTF text, which has your bold, your colors, your highlights, and that. So I will have that feature in here as well. Hide dashboard. It's very similar to hide classes in Gradebook. So we're going to do that in a moment. And I can select a color. So this is customized on my online or virtual classroom dashboard. So select, and I want to say that my U.S. history course, I'm going to give it a color of red. It's going to show my selected color right here. Update, and the course is going to display with that red bar across. So that's what we mean by customizing for your dashboard. Now I wish to customize all of my courses to give maybe a description or give them that colors to give it a really clean or right look to my dashboard. That all of my courses have a settings tab. So we have navigation down here for our courses. So each of them have a settings tab. So I'm going to click on the settings for my workspace. And I'm going to show you first is how to hide it. So I was wrong there. I'll show you first how to hide this course. So maybe my workspace, I wish not to have it on there for a reason, or maybe this is a second semester course and it's first semester, so I'm going to hide all of my second semester for right now. It's the same as hiding on your class dash or on your teacher homepage. Your core class is there. So just keep that in mind. I'm doing the exact same thing here. So I'm just going to click hide. The date that my workspace does not show anywhere on my teaching dashboard. And move over to hidden. There's the workspace. If I'm my workspace, all I'd have to do is remove that check mark, click date, and now it's going to be on my dashboard. So now if it's next semester and I wish to have this course brought back, I can easily do that. So now to customize our dashboard. To customize the dashboard, all these bright, nice colors here, I can click on my settings again. Remember that they're all available there. So I'm going to click on settings for my math class. I choose the color green. And this for all of them. Click update. And now notice that now it's customized. So that's what we mean by customizing your dashboard. You're customizing it with the name of your course. And then just to get a nice look, I can put those different colors on there. Okay. Or just like before, in 15.3, in new teachers, if I'm creating a new course or in the school year, you do need to tie each of your courses to your in Gradebook. It tells us whose content, which class is this content intended for, so you can assign it to those students in that class. So again, each of your courses has a settings tab. I'm going to have to come in, click settings. Set is available. So now I'm on my settings tab, same place where I was, where I could hide or change those colors. But now go over to sections. So when you think of sections, think of I'm going to tie this to my class sections in grade book. Okay. I click on sections. I'm in sections. All my classes from my dashboard are going to display in here. I'm select which classes the content in this course intended for. You must do this in order to, in order to assign any of this material to your students, and also for your student resources. If I want my student resources to show up on Student Parent Access, I have to have my course tied to a class in my gradebook. So I'm going to just select my two classes. Here I selected my two classes, and when I do that, they're tied, and it's going to be right back. Okay, so it's very easy to do. So I'm going to do those. Now also, again, for customizing of that dashboard, you have the ability to do a drag and drop. So I'm going to maybe move my U.S. history class, and I want to move it, move it around. You're going to click up here on this top banner section, and then simply drag it over to wherever you would like it to display, and then rearrange my courses on here also. So where that you can do that too. So you really can do some customization on here if you wish. So now, again, going back to my library. If you look at my library, we had student resources, teacher resources, and modules. Those when we look into our individual courses. Look at individual courses to see your content that's in each of your courses. We're going to click on content. So I can select content in each courses. So we're going to look at math. When I click on content, for all those teachers that originally came in with your material from last year, the folders are going to match the folders that are originally in my library. So we start out with modules, student resources, and teacher resources. We're going to be able to customize this. So we can get rid of all this and clean it up and make it exactly how you want. Okay? If teacher resources, not many people use teacher resources because in the old preview in Virtual Classroom, it was more or less a holding place for anything. So if you didn't have any material in here whatsoever, all I have to do is click the checkbox and click delete. Okay, so ability. Modules. Because we don't want your modules folder. I had you always had to create that modules folder, and then I created folders underneath the module for each of my units that I cover in this course. So I don't want that modules folder. It's just one more level that I don't need. I can have all those folders for each of my units just when I come into my math course when I click on content. So I'm going to click on modules, and when I notice, since I had when I first came in, I have the ability to move these folders. So these are each of my units that I had in my math course. I could select one and move, and when you do that, it just says which folder do you want to move that to. Well, I want to move it into another one of these folders, and I want to move all of these up into the math folder and math course. So it's the first thing I come into when I click on content. I'm actually going to close that and now come back and select all of my folders and click move, and then I want to move this to my math folder. So I'm going to click math, and do that. It says you are going to select the folder which you wish to move the items to. So I've selected math, those items to math, and then when I click move, It gives me the update, the confirmation that I have moved those. My modules folders, it's empty. There's nothing here. So I'm going to click on content to go back to the Math e-course where I just opened up. So I'm going to click on content. And when I do that, I see are all of my units that clicked. They moved up to the math. So now when I go into my math course, I'm going to instantly see each of my units. And for my modules, I know it's empty. I can just simply check box, click, and now it's gone. So you could do the same thing with teacher resources, student resources. If you want your student resources, if you did have material in there and you want to keep it in its student resources folder, you can. Or maybe I want to make individual folders for algebra, then intro to algebra resources. You do that. So you really can customize this and have it to where it's just going to make straight sense to you as a project that you have for your course and how you're moving down your course and what material you want to make available to your students at what point in time. So now we're going to go right into our content. So as I move into my content, I got my first folder for Introduction to Algebra. Content, Introduction to Algebra. So if I want to, just as I could before, I could change the name. And so that pencil allows me to change the name of my folder if I wish. To add material here, I can click Add. I can click on Quiz. A quiz is the same as what we always called activity. So a quiz is anything that contains questions, something that's to be graded. Okay. Discussion is your discussion item. So like add quiz, I'm adding a new activity. Add discussion, I'm adding a new discussion. Add file, that's doing documentation for my student resources. Okay, so I have to have it in a student resources folder. I can do that anywhere to add resources. Okay, you really have the ability to customize and have things how it makes sense for you. So still in my introduction to algebra, I'm going to open up one of my pre-existing activities. So I'm going to click Add an Activity. It would have given a name. Then when I click on the name of an activity, system one or not, it's going to bring me to my activity details page. So here is my name of my activity. We have a new feature. It's taking me to my details now. A feature for instructions. So instructions are going to display on student parent access for kiddos when they first open that activity. That's a real nice new feature. I'll be aware I have the same thing. So wherever we have text, you have the option of it will simply start out in plain text mode, which is exactly what you see here, where instructions should be here. Or if I click on it again, that means I can toggle it and have RTF editing tools. I want you to be aware this is a screen where the teacher denied her classes to the course yet. If you haven't, then you're going to get the message that you're unable to schedule your assignments to your class until classes are linked at your course level. And then you can just simply click on Course Settings and then add those classes in. All right. When I add those classes in, like we did previously, now we're going to see the classes that have been typed. Show me if there's any assignments. And here I came in and I toggled this to RTF code and I actually put it in a video for the kid to watch as part of the instructions prior to actually going into the activity. We also have the feature for the screen. There's your RTF. Also, just be aware that if you do have a lot of text in here and you want to expand your instruction section or anywhere where there's a text item, you'll see down here that you always have this little arrow. If I click on that arrow, then I get the double arrow and I can drag it to open that up and expand that box. So I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware that they can do that. Another new feature that has been added to this, before we had page breaks and you had to physically put in a page break, you wanted to put a page break so you could limit how many items displayed on a page before it's into the next page. So now the option of one page, that I want everything to show on one page. I want one page per item or one page per section. So any changes that you make on this page, on your activity details page, so we're still on the details, you do click update. So be sure to click update if you make any changes on this page. Okay, so now again, all my navigation as I move through my activity. So now I can click on questions. I have existing questions here. Then I can click on that question to open up that question, or I can add a new question. So we're going to start with adding a new question. If I'm over here, I can add a new question from here, or add a new question. So again, on my question tab, is how many questions are tied to this activity, how many points are already tied within this activity. When you add, here's a change. It asks you what type of question you wish to add. Each of them come with a clear description of what that question means, what that question type means. Also, whether it has that auto score. So auto score means the student is going to instantly see whether it was correct or not correct. And if your whole activity is with questions with auto score, that will automatically post right into the gradebook assignment. So you don't even have to go in there and do any type of grading. So start with true, false. I'm going to type in my text. Again, I have the option to toggle between plain text or RTF text, points, and then true, I can change this to say yes, no, agree, disagree, select which answer is correct, then click Save. Once you click Save, you have the option. If I'm adding another true, false, yes, no, agree, disagree type question, I just simply click that, and it's just going to bring me to the same screen. I'm adding a different type of question, multiple choice, fill in the blank. I will need to click Questions. It's going to bring me back to my questions, show me my new question is that we just added, my new true, false, and then I'm going to have to click Add a Question again, select a new question type. This time we're going to multiple choice, and I'm back here again. So now I am typing in my question type, so now we're in multiple choice, and you're going to see some new features that came with all of these question types as we move through the different question types. So exciting. A lot of these features they put in. So my question, again, I can switch between RTF. When I put RTF, then I get my editing tools. Click on this arrow, will expand my editing tools to give me more. So we're just listing your basic to begin with. How many points? If I wish to add a resource, open up a PDF or whatnot. I also have the option to scramble my choices. So if I don't want my multiple choice to show the same order for all of my students. For some students, the answer choice of multiple choice 36 would be first for some, 36 would be last for others. So I have the choice of whether I want to scramble those, choice of where I want it to be text, where I'm typing in, or picture. If I'm in pictures, select which flower is a daisy, whatever it may be, and then I also have the option, do I want these to display as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4 options for the students. Okay, so we really added some nice new features in here for our multiple choice. So again, I would click Save. If I'm adding another multiple choice question, again, I just click Add another of the same type. We're at different types, so we're going to go through the scenario adding a different type for every question, just so we can go through all the different question types. So I'm going to click Question Type. Then my question that I just added is here. Then I'm going to click Add and select which question type. So now I'm going to click Fill in the blank. So now I'm adding a fill in the blank. Fill in the blank is really added, has some really exciting new features in it. You are just going to love this. So again, I'm going to type in my question, and then I have my plain or RTF, my editing tools that will come in here. To be able to type in what my blank response is, I need to get an underscore. So when I type in my question, for every underscore, you're going to see a blank option. Okay, with our blanks, a blank option will display for each line is what I'm stating here. But the option of saying, are they case sensitive? Do I want students to have to use capitalization, or do I care whether they put in a capitalization, put it all in caps, or not? I also have the option to add additional answers. So if the answer order of operation, the first one is parentheses, students spell it 3 different ways. I put in the 3 different ways. Then they might misspell that, and then we'll auto-grade, and if they spell it any of these with these types of spelling, I'll grade it as correct. So that is awesome. So that is by just clicking Add Answer. Note I also added an additional blank underscore. So I did that. Now I have a second blank. Now I can have a question with multiple blanks. I could actually put in a full paragraph and tell kids that they need to fill in those words, and then I'm going to have all of these blank options with different spellings that I expect from them, and then I have the auto grade feature that if any of those match, it's going to fit correctly. So just an example, so the order operation, I have 6 blanks to go, 6 options of what I expect in each of those blanks, and these are the different answers or spellings that I would accept, and I expect the kids to be able to do put in there. So get that out as full as you want. Go crazy, but that is so exciting and such an exciting feature. So that's our fill in the blank. So we're going to have to go back through the same process of save, go to questions, click add, and now I'm back to matching. So now we're going to go directly to matching. Some exciting features. It looks very same as before. We're going to type in our question text, how many points, have the option to add a resource, and then we have option for our multiple choice to be as, notice it says premise sort, premise is right here. We can change the heading on it so it doesn't have to say premise, but be aware that when you're selecting, do I want these to display in alphabetical order, in the order that I entered them, or scrambled? So again, a lot of great features have been added in here. So I selected as entered, so I want them to stay in the order that I entered them, and then so I enter in my that I want the students to match, and these are my options and what I wish them to match to. And then I have the option to add a distractor. So a distractor means I have 4 items here the students are matching to, but I can give them they're going to see 6 options when matching these. So it's not going to be a direct one-on-one. And it has the auto score, which means that if all of my questions are matching or auto score, we can also auto post this directly into the grade book. That assignment can be fully graded. It will post into the grade book. So now when the students click the drop down for addition, they're actually going to see 6 options that they would have to select from to match up to these 4 items. So it's not going to be a direct one-on-one. So then another great feature that has been added in Virtual Classroom. Now again, you would click the save. If you're adding another matching question, you would just click add another question of the same type. Or I'm going to click questions, then add, and I come over to essay. So now for essay is very similar to what it was before. The only option, and I don't even think this was, I think this was there. Oh, the option that's there is that you have it so the students can see the correct answers, and I have to add a resource as the correct answer for them to look at instead of typing out as an example response, I can do that also. So just to be aware that that's the one change in there. You still have a option for your plain text, or want to use my editing features for bold, italic, or whatnot. The only difference between essay and math problem is math problem you automatically are in the RTF code to have the editing tools, and you're going to have the math editor. Also, for a student, if you give the student a math where you selected the math option problem, they automatically have the RTF code as well. So you no longer have to select that. You want the students to have that because obviously they need to have the math editor for their option as well. For text or resource is exactly as it was before. It's an ungraded item between your plain text or RTF code. Just put in your text item. So they're the same as before. Section is the same as grouped questions. So we're going to cover that. Section means that I'm creating a group of questions that I want to stay together with my text item on top. Section, I have a name. I can give it a name for my section, and I can also add instructions in. So that's a new feature as well. I have the choice for when I want these items within this section to be scrambled. Now, when I come in here, it's my name and my instructions. I scramble my questions within. Now I'm ready to start adding questions to this section. I'm going to click Add right here. You do click Save, but now if I clicked down here that says Add another the same type, that means I'm adding a new section. So just aware that this is adding a new section. This is adding questions to this section. Okay. Click Add to add a question. It's going to ask me which question type do I want to use. I'm going to click True, False. Put a question. Click False. Click Save. If I'm just going to add multiple True, False questions, just add another of the same type. Or I'm adding a different type of question, maybe a multiple choice. Now I'm going to click Section because I want to return to my section. I'm to my section with my name, instructions, and then I see my question, and I'm going to click Add. This up here is if I change my instructions or I decided to change my label on this section. You need to click the Save. Okay, I'm going to click Add, select my question type, and then just continue through. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to add these questions in this section. I selected Scramble on this, so it just doesn't make sense with the scrambled. But if I did not have my question scrambled, and I wanted to have them list in a certain order, and this is true with any activity. With my questions, I'm going to have this option, the option to reorder. When I click reorder, so when I click reorder, it's on. So clicking that button itself toggles it between on and off. Now I see the arrow. So I would just simply click that arrow to move that question up. Or if I click the arrow down, it's going to move it down. So clicking arrows is what moves your questions in the order that you wish them to be in. Also know that this is automatically updated when you're doing that. Okay, confirmation. For academic standards, to add academic standards. Didn't get it the question type, but you probably would do it the question type. So now, if we look up here top, you have your questions, my details. This is the actual question detail, and standards. Okay? So if I click on standards here, it's going to show me the standards that are tied to the entire activity, but I need to go back and tie them to the question. I should have done this as I was creating each question. So click on question. Then, so notice I'm back here. Here are my different places where I can move around within my virtual classroom. Now I'm going to click on my question. And I'm going to click on standards. So with our academic standards, we have our new search features available to search, and our academic standards are now up to date at all times. We are reading directly from our service provider. Read those academic standards, and they get all of their standards directly from ODE as ODE adopts standards. So if I had standards tied in here, I would see them here. That's my quiz standards. Again, quiz is what we are calling, what we used to call activity, anything with questions in it. So standard search, select area. When I select content area, if you remember before, searching for your standards for your content area was very time consuming because we showed the year that they were adopted. So now we've really narrowed it down and see it broke by each of the content areas. So most of our teachers are using the Ohio Learning Standards. So math, I'm going to select mathematics, select my grade levels. So I'm going to select grade 5. And then if I wish, I could enter a search description. If I don't want to, I don't have to. It just narrows down my search results and click search. Please be aware the first time you are searching for standards in an area, it may take a little bit for your search to come because we're connecting to them and bringing them in. The frame, once we've connected, then it's going to move a whole lot faster. So click search and then standards display. Come in and select my standard, and as I select my standard, it's going to display over here. We're going to see the standard label is what's going to display for us. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I selected a few standards. All those standards display here. If I accidentally went a little crazy and clicked a cut I didn't need, I can simply delete by just removing the check mark over here, or I can click on the X here, and when we come over here, it clearly indicates that by clicking that X, you're removing the standard. Also, if I'm looking at my standards here, maybe I have a wide variety of standards that are tied in here. I have maybe some science standards or some reading standards because I'm doing reading problems in the math. I can click down arrow, and that's going to show me the description on that standard. Okay, in my standard, I'm on my questions to go back to my questions, and then I would do that for each of my questions to tie in my standards, and that's for that reporting that we have standards. So now see, and maybe we have created our activity, we feel we're done with it, we have 11 questions, it's 25 points. Now I wish to preview to see what this looks like for the students. Same option as before. When you click on preview, it opens up a new tab. In ParentAccess, takes it directly to the activities tab and shows us what activity looks like. Okay, so it opens a new tab. So to move back to my virtual classroom, I'd either X out or just click on the tab to back. Okay. Now I go back to my details because now I'm ready to create an assignment. I'm ready to assign this to my students. So I'm going to move back to my details page. I have 11 questions tied. Again, 11 questions. There were 25 points. Now I have tied my classes because at the course level, my classes to my course. So I can come in and click Add an Assignment. And when I do that, it's going to say, which class are you adding this assignment to? I'm going to select my first math class. Now, all of my information from my activity is automatically populated for me. What I'm going to populate is I'm going to select my assignment type. I'm going to choose whether I want to post my homework on the web page, want to display this assignment as on the homework section or student planner. Do the grades to display. marks that's available. Pre-post. So if I select this option, just to go over some of these options, and this option is the same as before. I want to make sure everyone's aware of this. If I had an all true false or all fill in the blank, or activity that had true false, multiple choice, and fill in the blank. So all of those have the option to be auto score and automatically graded. But because fill in the blank, even though I can put in those multiple options, you could still have kiddos, they really just misspelled what they're trying to type in there, and want to give them credit for those, even if they misspell it. So if I want to preview those items, if I want to manually grade any of my activities, that's when I'm going to select this preview before post. Add essay questions in there at all. As questions will stop an activity from automatically posting in my grade book, because you need to grade that essay question before you can get your final mark. So you don't need to select that if you have an essay question in there. But if you do have the blank in the multiple choice or fill in the and I want to manually grade those fill in the blank before it posts to gradebook for all of my students, then you may want to select preview before post. Not automatically filling in when you want your students to work on this activity. So if I want to leave it open-ended, I can. It will be open until they complete it. Or I want to say that they only have, this is a homework assignment, they only have to work on this, then I would put in my date and my time as to when I want them to work on this. New item to be aware of is this publish immediately. Publish immediately means if I select that, as soon as I click save on this, it's available to my kids to start working on it. Or they're going to instantly see it because it's available for them to start working on until this date and time. But they'll be able to see that instantly. So if this is a pop quiz, and I want my kiddos to, even though this is out there because they're checking their phones all the time, to what's out there in ParentAccess, so I don't want third period to know about it, that there's a pop quiz until they're in the class, then I'd select publish immediately. I would publish this once my class is here. So note that we are not automatically sharing assignments with the classes anymore. So that is a feature that you did have if you had your classes tied previously in 15-16 school year. Starting this school year, it's worked just like any other assignment, that if I want to share this assignment with my other classes, I would need to select it. So I'll show you one that I have filled out. So I selected my assignment type. I did post to the homework or planner page. I post marks to the web. I put end date. They're able to work on it for a couple days. I want to allow my students to view their answers, and I'm also allowing them to see the correct answers. And I want that to be published to the planner and activity page as soon as I click save on the assignment. Now that it's tied to an activity, I'm able to see I can click on this as a link. It'll navigate me back to the VirtualClassroom details, the activity details. I go back to the quiz here to also go back to the activity details. Another item to be aware of, we had some teachers that created their assignment first, and then they would create the activity to go with the assignment. You are no longer able to do that, and that's what this message over here indicates. The existing assignment, so if I just had an assignment, can't be linked to an activity. You must add a new assignment from the activity details. So if I click on this, it's taking me back to my dashboard, and then I am going to have to, or my course, and then I'm going to have to select the activity and add the assignment from there, so all of this is populated from that section, from my assignment activity details. So just be aware of that as well. When I go back to my activity details, I want you to be aware that when we come into our activity details, because we navigated back, so we clicked back to quiz. We came back here. Now I see my assignment that is listed in the details on my assignment, and we have a green cloud. That means that green cloud means that the students are sending this assignment with the activity in student parent access. Unpublished. Please be aware that unpublished right now does not give you the ability to toggle of maybe I have an activity that I want my kiddos in third period to only work on during this class period for this entire week. So when it comes in, don't think that published right now does not allow you to say it's available, not available for them to see. Publish will actually remove all that activity. So if I click on publish, it's going to publish this assignment, will erase all student progress, which means it's erasing all student answers. So we probably really should make that say that. I'm actually going to suggest that. That's erasing all the student answers. Some have been graded. Those grades will still be in gradebook, but you're going to be able to see those answers. All the answers have been erased. So just be aware that's what that means right now. So now, since we created that activity, we assigned it to our students. I said it was available on the homework page. Homework and planner is the same page for students. So now, when students log in, they're directed directly to the planner. I see my order of operation right here. I could see my activity from here if I wish. Down to my activities tab, and there's my order of operation. And they can come from here to start. With students is my instruction. So I put in a video to start. So it's the video. As you can see, it's plain as day. Can't miss that one, right? Students, again, everything's the same for them. The activity details, they're going to click begin, and they're able to start answering their questions. Their questions save every 15 seconds. They have a new option of question menu. So if you view what's new for students and parents in ParentAccess, I do cover the student menu, and what that does is shows all the questions and allows the students to move around. There's a question that they know the answer to, they can click on that, answer that, and come back, jump back to their first question. So the students come in and answer their questions. And just as before, that have the auto score ability are automatically going to be graded. The essay questions that don't have the auto score would be pending because the teacher has to manually grade those. Back into my class dashboard, I can click on the icon, and that's going to open up. I can see that this assignment was tied to an activity. I can click on the icon to go to the activity details, or I can click on order of operation, the actual name. What on this page is now all of my statuses that go up, they still show just as they did before, but all of them are links that will take right to the grading page. So I actually click on the partial and see, okay, they answered this question and they answered that question, they got it correct, but they have not answered the other 10 questions. And I click on the submitted from here, that will take me right to my grading page. Or if I'm from my dashboard, I just want to show you some different options. I can click on screen here on the icon. That will take me to my activity details. From activity details, I have an option of common to rating. So that's part of the options here. So I can click on rating. When I click, it's showing me all of my assignments that students have submitted, because you are assuming that most teachers grade by assignment. That if you were taking papers home today, you're grading all of one assignment at one time. You're not grading all 5 different types of assignments, going back and forth between students, because that would be a nightmare, right? So I show you the number of assignments that are waiting to be graded. So it shows you in red if you have some that are waiting to be graded. How many students that have not submitted the assignment yet. So I'm going to click the name assignment, show me all of my students. I can click on my students that have submitted, my students have not, and again, I could click on this student, I could click on Willa King, and I can see which one she answered, which one she has not, or whether maybe she got the two that she's answered, she didn't get them correct, and they even give me an opportunity to speak with her. I could click on or here and get started on my grading, or I can click Start Grading. And again, it shows that I have 3 students that are ready to be graded. Questions that have been graded are automatically hidden. So that's another great feature that came in before you had it manually. Now they're automatically hidden. If I wish to see all of the ones that have been, even those that have been graded, I can just click on that and show me all. Nice, easy features. So for those questions that need to be graded, I come in and select. Now we have 3 buttons going across. All it does is try to make it a little easier for you to grade. So if I click 100%, it automatically gives the student the full amount of points, the full mark. If I click 50%, it gives half. If I click 0, it automatically gives them the 0 out of that they didn't earn any points on that question. So it makes it a lot easier. Of course, I still have the option to manually enter a mark. So if none of these will meet the requirements of the mark that you wish to give the student, you can do it manually still yourself. So the option off as well. Same feature to allow the student to redo this question and comment is still there. So I changed my questions to be visible. So by clicking that, it shows me visible. So if I wanted to see for that fill in the blank, maybe I had that student that still, even though I put in those multiple different spellings, still spelled it wrong, I can come in here and give that student 100% on this. So just be aware that if it's not one of those items that I listed there, it still may be marked wrong. Matching for your auto, for matching also, remember, has auto score, auto post. Works exactly the same as before. And click Post. Click Post will post the marks to the assignment and automatically move you to your next student. So once you have graded your students, we'll back to our grading page. Once you've graded your last student, so we had 3, it's going to you right back to your graded screen. Throw down to the bottom. We'll mark that we gave to the student. Aware that that's there for you. The ability. So even though my students in this assignment, this activity, they already started. So I have students that already started, and maybe even some that's already submitted this activity. So if I realized, like the exponents, a lot of spelling it in this manner, so I want to add that additional option in there. You can do that, or if I misspelled. First, I forgot to put an I, or I fat keyed it, and I put the T before the S, so I realized I put a misspelling in there. Those you can change, and that will be reflected to other students. But if I add or remove questions from the activity, all students that I've already published this to, whether they've studied it or not, they've submitted it or not, are not going to see that new question, and they're not going to, if I delete question, that question will not be removed. So I have to actually delete that assignment. If I'm changing that assignment, and I don't want all my kids to, I'm changing it by adding questions or removing questions, and I have to reassign it to the students in order for them to get new questions or removal of questions. Because if you're changing that, if you're going to that extent, you're actually changing that activity and making it a new activity. But there and just change a spelling because you misspelled something or wording, you're aware of which students have already submitted that, which students have not, and you're correcting it for those that have not. Have not been published for this quiz. Students will see changes made. So I am actually in the question. So if I actually go into the question, students have already started taking. It's again just giving you that confirmation that I'm assignments have already been published. Students will see any changes made. Answering this question could affect a completed student's work. So I change the question. If I change the word on this question to make it clearer for my students that have not completed this question yet, just be aware that your students that have already submitted that do not see that clarity on that question. So just be aware of that. So we're just making it very clear to you that you've already assigned this and students may have already taken that, or even if they partially answered some questions, doesn't mean they're going to go back to one that they've already answered that you may have changed. Students have completed their activity, or you start grading some of those activities, we have our results tab. So our results tab is within the activity again. So we were just in grading. This on our detail page. So now I can click on results. Work and play exactly as they were before. I can click on the answer and I can see which answer the student selected, and these were their answer choices. Okay, I know which ones they got right, which ones they got wrong. I can see, okay, this one most of the students have C wrong. What was it that they selected? The options again, and clicking on the question will actually show me the question as well. I click on the student's name to see their entire completed activity as well. Into discussion. So I'm back on my class dashboard. I'm going to click on content and a discussion question. So when I click on content from my e-course, because I removed the module and I moved all my folders up a level, now I have all my folders there. I can click Introduction to Algebra and now click Add Discussion. I have the discussion and name. Click Create. Now I have my group discussion. I want to click on my group discussion and I'm going to key in. We first come to our details page. So our details page is the same as before, where I have the name. I can give instructions. I see classes. I can assign this discussion question to, and if there's any, if I've already created an assignment for any classes for discussion item. To keep discussion question, I'm going to click on Settings. And just as before, I can type standards into this discussion question if I wish. I can toggle between plain text or RTF to have my editing format. To be light and bold or italic. So in my prompt, what question is for my students? I can add a resource if I wish. And same as before, how many posts are required? How many points is that post worth? If I want to allow students to reply to other students' posts or replies, I do need to make sure that I click on replies, how many replies are required, and how many points for each reply, then click Save. So don't forget to click Save. Once I click Save, all of my information is there. I'm going to go back to my details page, and now I can add this as an assignment, schedule it for my students. So I'm going to add assignment, click, and then into our assignment page, all of the information in yellow was brought over automatically for me. I would select assignment type, choose I want this to post on the homework or planner page. I want to post marks to the web, as well as if I have an end date for when I are to have this discussion item completed. So be aware, if I want this to display immediately as soon as I click Save, to be available for them to see on the homework and planner, so they're aware that this discussion item is available or it's going to be available, I need to click Publish immediately. Also be aware that once I click Save, Publish, if I did not publish this, I did not select Publish immediately, and I click Save, and so shoot, got that. I have to go back to my activity details page to publish it. This option is not available after you click Save. So it's similar to assigning students to a group. It's available after you click Save. Come in, I'm showing you what I have filled in. I've clicked Save. Notice that that option's not there. We have the same options as before. I want to require approval before the students are able to see. I have that option available. Same with here, and if I wanted to share this activity, discussion question with another class, I can still do so. So the example of what it looks like after I've saved. So again, if I needed to publish this, or I created this today, I don't want it to be available till Friday, to the end of the week, then I would click Group Discussion to go back to that discussion question, then click Publish at that point in time from my activity details page. So once the students started submitting their responses, they started creating posts and replies. If you wish to monitor this group discussion, click on the Activity tab here on my dashboard. It will automatically bring me into the grading on discussions. Click Moderate. All of the discussion post replies from the students. If I felt in the same options were there as before, if I felt that this was something that should not be available for other students to see, I can hide the post. I can send a private message back to the student. Click that. If I select private, then it's private for all the students. If I keep that a response in there, please allow discussion on replies, then that would be available to all the students. If I wish to add a little more to my post, my prompt, I can create my post here, and again, that would be available to all students. Grading questions. So I go to grading with that activity itself, or once I go over, I can, if I click on that icon from the dashboard, it's going to take me to discussions, and click on the discussion name. Discussion name, I will see how many posts and replies each student has. If I click on the student's name, I can click on the student's name. Now, this is what's different. In order for me to post ARC back to the gradebook, I do need to come to grading, click the name, and then I'm going to see all responses from that student. We automatically tally up the grade, the mark for the student, according to their marks, and I would need to click Post. If for whatever reason I decide, you know what, they didn't do this whatsoever correctly, or I felt it was inappropriate, if I click Hide Reply, it's grayed out. It will not count. The points for that reply will not count towards the mark. As you see now, the mark has been adjusted to not include that mark. And again, I need to post to have mark go into the grade book. So just be aware, now I have to do that on each student. I will come back and show the reply, and now it will count. Please be aware also, cancel does not mean that I'm canceling out what I just did on this page. It just means that I'm returning back. So, but that should be back instead of cancel. So cancel means I'm returning back to the grading page so that I can select another student. Once I post it mark, I'm going to see mark list over here on the grading page, so then I'm well aware. Once I have entered marks for all of my students, they can finalize grading, and I do that. That will allow me to move that discussion item from that discussion tab in grading. So when you hear is that, yes, the mark did post back into the grade book. Okay. Resources. To add in your student resources is set to creating an activity or discussion item. So select content, and again, you've got content available for each of your courses. When I content, one thing I forgot to mention earlier, time those classes. course, once I click on content, not only is it available when I click on settings, I also do it from here. If I click on sections, then it is timed my classes, okay? So I can do it from here as well. So in order to add a student resource, your class must be tied to that course. I can do it from settings, or I could just simply click sections from here. So just be aware that that's available in both places. If student resources folder was brought over from your e-course from your 15-16 school year, if I keep that folder, I can, or just simply add a resource from here by clicking Add, then File. I could do it from within my Introduction Algebra unit, Add, and then File. I just keep the student resource and click on Student Resource. Click File. I can do this at any point. When I click Add File, I still have the option of either local file or from my Google Drive. I'm local file. Once on the file and click Open, it's automatically there. Okay, so before I think we had an additional, maybe even 2 clicks on that in order to get that file in there. So we made that a little easier. Once you've added the file, now I'm going to click on the name of the file. Unpublished, published, or restricted. So automatically is brought in. Unpublished is not available to students. Published means it will be published. It will be available as soon as I click Publish and Update. Restricted means that I am restricting this from that they only have this resource available from this time, date, to this date and time. Available then on Student Parent Access. To collaborate. Collaborate is done from Settings tab, so I could do that from Content again, or do it from Settings. Right, so selecting my Settings tab, I'm going to click Collaborators. Simply click Collaborator. Start key's name. Once I key in 3 letters, then I'm going to get a list of people that meet that name, whether it's in the first name or last name. As you can see, wherever there's ROE, I'm going to bring all those teachers that match that. Click on Teacher, and then I have the option for that teacher. Do I want that teacher to only have the ability to schedule those activities? I'm collaborating with a group of teachers or group teachers, and I don't want them to make any changes to my content, but they can assign that. I can give them reader access, or if I give them contributor, that means they have the ability to change that content that they're working with me in creating that course. So these are what's new 6.0 in Virtual Classroom. I hope you really like the new look, the new feel that we have for Virtual Classroom as much as we do. We're really excited about it. We look forward to hearing your comments. And thank you for being a ProgressBook Virtual Classroom user.